Hey, welcome.
Sasha, why?
Why? Welcome to Beyond the Basement.
We bid you a very sad hello.
I'm not even...
Here at Beyond the Basement, the complete Attack on Titan podcast. And we are anime onlys, obviously, because we are quite dumbstruck by today's events. So mourn with us on this episode 8, right? Mm-hmm. Season 4, episode 8, also known as episode 67, I'm pretty sure, Assassin's Bullet. Thank you guys for joining us. We really love you. I'm one of your hosts. They call me Eric. Over here, this lady.
I'm Rachel.
And this sad man.
I'm a sad man named Peter. And thank you for joining us, you guys. This is actually not an episode. This is now
We're having a wake.
A wake for Sasha Braun, Potato Girl. Sasha Browse, Potato Girl.
I was
love
like,
you.
Braun, that's...
You are our favorite character. And here's the thing. This death particularly means a lot to us because...
She's been around the whole time.
She's an OG.
Not just that.
All 4 seasons.
But a long time ago, 3-ish years ago, I was trying to get a certain lady to watch Attack on Titan with us who's really not big into anime, Eric's wife. And I was trying to get her into the show. And I was like, look, the reason you should get into the show is because there's a character who's just like you.
She loves food.
She loves
hilarious.
food. She's ridiculous. She's over the top. And so we started calling Eric's wife Potato Girl. And eventually she started watching with us.
And now she kind of likes it.
Except
for today. Now she hates
now
it again.
She hates it. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Isayama. Tried so hard and got so far. But in the end,
it did matter.
It did in fact matter. Okay, well, do we have something we need to tell our folks about really quick?
We do. What do you get when you want to get sponsored and you plant pod kernels?
I don't know.
Podcorn?
Today's episode of Beyond the Basement Podcast is sponsored by podcorn.com.
You know, I could really go for some podcorn right now.
Friends, lend me your ears. Podcorn is an amazing sponsorship opportunity that connects podcasters with all sorts of spectacular sponsors. If you're like us and just started a podcast, you might be just as lost as we were, trying to figure out the best ways to find sponsors who want to sponsor new shows.
It can be awfully hard to do.
But once we discovered podcorn.com, it was all buttery smooth like buttery corn on the cob on the 4th of July. They make it so easy that even a couple of corny dad jokers like us can figure it out. Podcorn is really shucking the competition by eliminating the middleman and by doing all the hard work of bringing together up-and-coming podcasters with great sponsors. Once you sign up, you can scroll through a whole list of companies that want to get their product out to an audience like yours or ours. Find a sponsor you like and select from options like host-read ads, interview segments, topical discussions, and ridiculous over-the-top, pun-filled ads, and more. Then shoot your shot and begin to collaborate with the company on an ad that fits your style. Podcorn's mission is to give podcasters transparency, creative freedom, and full control of how and when to monetize. And I don't want to sound like a stalker here, but we will be following Podcorn very, very closely. True salute to Podcorn for sponsoring this episode and joining the squad. And you can explore sponsorship opportunities and start monetizing your podcast by signing up here at podcorn.com/podcasters.
Wow. Shout out to Podcorn. Thank you for sponsoring the show, making it possible. Shout out to you guys. Seriously, everybody who's live on Twitch right now. Thanks for joining us in this sadness of all episodes of AOT. Let's do a quick recap, then we'll actually jump into the episode. So for those of you who are listening after the fact, just as a quick reminder, this is the episode where the first thing that happens is Reiner goes down. He transforms.
Gets his face just punched off.
Takes one shot to the face and goes down. He grabs Porco, and then apparently that was also Eren's last punch, which it didn't look like it, but I don't know. At any rate, they are both out of energy, so Eren's got a jet. So him and Mikasa take off. We see the airship that we saw in the last episode is the escape plan. And since they've taken out all the Titan threats, really there's not much threatening the airship. And so all the scouts, including Eren and Mikasa, jump up there, and we get a bunch of juicy information from inside the ship, basically. So we catch back up with Falco and Gabi, and Gabi, of course, hates Eren Yeager and swears to kill him, and so on and so forth. And Gabi and Falco have this super interesting conversation where Falco actually remembers some of the stuff that Eren said in the basement there with Reiner. And he starts to realize Gabi has this hatred and says they're devils and they're horrible and stuff, but he starts to realize, well, Well, no, they were trampled on. This is revenge. So Falco starts to understand some important stuff. Back on the ship, we see there were 6 casualties, and there's this division, which we can feel in the fandom right now, too, in the comment section. But a division between the scouts who, Flock, and it's kind of like rejoicing in the victory and the war of it all, and Jean, who's like, how many more have to die? Basically...
Apparently 2 more.
Yeah, at least 2 more.
This episode.
And so basically what ends up happening is Gabi grabs a rifle, shoots, what's his name, Lobov or whatever? He's like an old garrison guy who is kind of the last guy out to protect the airship. Shoots him, he falls, and this is so like providential, if I could say it that way. Right. But she's able to get onto the ship with his, dead Lobov's, ODM gear, and Falco grabs her and goes with her because of Reiner told him to do. So they end up on the ship. She does the unimaginable and shoots Sasha, which, come on, Sasha didn't shoot you on purpose. Anyway, she shoots her directly. They tackle her, they take her down, and then we get this like giant like barrage of information unload from both Pieck and from Zeke. So it turns out on this ship, Jean's like, "Hey, I'll take you guys to your leader." Gabby's like freaking out. "I'll take you guys to your leader." They take Gabi and Falco to Zeke, who's recovering. He's on the ship and apparently is in league with the scouts, which I would act surprised by, except for the fact that we literally last episode were like, I think that's what happened, and like it was all a smoke show, and he's just acting anyway. So that does turn out to be the case. And then perhaps most importantly, one of the things we find out here is that, 2 things. We find out the blonde soldier with the fake beard was a woman that Pieck recognized. It was not Armin. And that for sure means there's a bunch of Marlians that went on ships that she was on a ship, a Marlian ship that seems like,
Yelena
went missing. She was also responsible for not apparently properly taking care of John Titan, you jerk. Anyway, the thing that's important that we find out is that Eren seems to have gone rogue. They tie him up and they're like pissed at him, and we're
Levi kicks the crap out of him.
That kickable face. So we're not 100% sure why, but anyway, that's where the episode leaves off, which even just doing this recap right now, I'm like, that wasn't enough, though.
As if Jean didn't have enough reasons to hate Eren, now he has more, apparently, because he's blaming Eren for Sasha being shot.
Yeah, well, it's not this of all. Okay, a lot of things have been Eren's fault lately. This actually isn't one of them.
Yeah,
this is technically
or is it? And we
right.
just don't have all the details.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
Let's not blame Eren yet, because I'm pretty sure he's to blame
probably
for a lot
Eren's
of this.
fault, because Eren looks like he's pretty upset with himself at the end there.
Which is interesting because
it's like the first time he's shown emotion this whole time is when he finds out
he's been a heartless monster. Basically,
finds out Sasha's last words were meat, and then he finally has emotions.
Martyr says that John blaming Eren as Bush League, they got complacent. It's true. John was like, "Oh, it's no big deal. That's sound, right?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they weren't being alert soldiers. Here's the thing: is until you're back home, like in your bed, safe and sound, you're still at war, and you gotta be alert. Which they weren't. They weren't even armed. Like they didn't even have their pistols. Like they couldn't shoot back at her. You'd think the instinct would be like someone with a gun, and they shoot.
They should have stayed
John
in the door.
John went to shoot at her, and Falco saved John's life by tackling Gabi.
Yeah, Jean almost got shot in the head.
They pulled a gun on Gabi? The scouts did?
Yeah.
John did immediately as soon as she took the shot. They were all turned around. She rolls in, takes a shot. They spin around, and no one realizes that Sasha gets shot. And so they all realize, and she's even surprised by it. And then immediately she reloads, and Jean goes to shoot her, and Falco jumps in and tackles her, and the bullet ricochets and misses him.
She's the one who fired them.
No. Jean takes a shot. It ricochets and goes right by his ear.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
No. Okay, wait. Audience, Twitch chat, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's exactly the opposite. She took a second shot at Jean.
All right. Maybe he didn't shoot, but he at least pointed the gun at her.
Okay, but at least pulled the gun.
It says Jean and Gabi both fire and miss, which is what I thought happened. I thought they both fired.
Oh, okay.
Okay, also for the record, it's a safety tip for us and for you in the audience. Don't shoot on an airship. It's probably bad.
Look at the Zeppelin.
Things can explode and everyone dies in fire.
Heard is what is with the love of Flock? This guy's out here trying to kill people because he says it's revenge.
I am not a Flock fan.
Now, I'll say I'm not a Flock fan in terms of him as a person, but it's more like his character. Now, I kind of called this one when we were going over season 3. I really did say, I was like, I really am anxious to see how much or what kind of role he plays. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a good one. He's a character who's set up to be an antagonistic, but
he's a little off his rocker.
Okay, let's jump back into this first scene. Let's get into this Eren V Reiner thing. it's so fast. It's literally One Punch Man, but One Punch Eren.
Yeah, it's almost like with every single fight, Reiner's lost less he's lost more and more and more in the fight, and Eren's won more and more in the fight.
Yeah.
But it's almost like the sides have begun to switch. Like at first I was like, F you,
Reiner. He's the worst.
And then he fights him again, and he's like, I'm like, yeah, you still deserve this. And now I'm like, no, Reiner,
just please
let him die.
Beating his face in.
This reminds me of how I felt with, I think it was Tito Ortiz and Forrest Griffin. So Forrest Griffin was an up and coming. If you're an old school UFC guy, you'll get this reference. But he's like an up and coming new UFC champ. He was star. He wasn't a champ yet. He was on the reality show The Ultimate Fighter when that came out, and went and trained with a bunch of guys, and he won one of the contracts, and he goes on to get into this into the UFC and begin to like fight more and more and more harder competition. He's going to go fight one of the older guard guys, Tito Ortiz, who was like an old school trash talking, absolute.
I kind of remember him now.
Yeah. And Forrest goes to fight this guy, and I'm like, let's go, Forrest. I'm like totally rooting for Forrest. He's the new up and coming kid, and Tito Ortiz is this like cocky kind of like jerk or whatever. And I'm trying to remember, I think Tito beat him in like a split decision, right? Mm-hmm. So then they fought again, and this time I'm like, yeah, let's go, Forrest. Forrest actually wins, and then they fought a third time. By the third time it come around, Forrest Griffin had kind of like shown himself to be a complete idiot. And Tito Ortiz like stops with the cocky thing. He gets older. He like has a family, has kids.
So now you're rooting for the opposite side.
I actually have to root for the opposite, and Forrest totally wins. And I'm like, no, I lost every single time. It's such a hard
How many
battle.
fights has Reiner won, though? Realistically, in the series?
Listen, that's not his job. His job is not to win.
He's
his
the
job
shield.
is to take damage, right?
He's the shield.
Remember,
but I'm just saying, generally speaking, this guy loses every fight he takes with Eren, specifically.
I just really want some kind of redemption for him. Dang it.
Yeah.
Like, he just keeps getting the crap kicked out of him from every angle.
Yeah, and now that
he's just suicidal and sad now, and he just wants to die in peace. And I'm like, no, find hope. Find a reason to live. Come on. Like,
Sam likes to torture Reiner.
I feel bad for Reiner.
Now that we've seen Reiner's backstory, we kind of understand, like, in this show, like, your ire originally, like, at first is with Reiner and Bertolt. Like, how could you guys do this? But even then, even the first time we found out they were the Titans that broke through the walls and caused all these people to die, even then, you're still mad mostly at them, but I was like, well, wait a second, though. Somebody had to have, like, sent them, and we started to do the math, like, well, they were, like, kids when they got here. Like, we all started during watching it originally, we were like, well, wait a second, it's their fault. But it's not just their fault, right? And so, obviously, now we know all about Marley, and we know all the stuff we know, and so, like, your kind of, like, distaste turns from them specifically, from Reiner and the gang specifically, over to the people in Marley, the government in Marley, who is using these poor Eldians as weapons, brainwashing them as children, and sending them in on this unprovoked attack. So you kind of like start to understand. So here's the thing is, Reiner now as an adult, having been in Paradise and knowing all that he knows, he's now he's a functioning adult. He can make his own kind of moral calculations and decisions now, and he does sort of understand Paradise. Like a little bit. It looks like it when he's at the table with his family. He's like, yeah, there's all kinds of people there. Meaning like he gets it. And
he even mentioned Sasha.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, the potato girl.
Right.
She gave her commander a potato.
Gosh.
Well, at any rate, his Titan looks different here. I was going to say it looks jacked up. It doesn't look jacked up. It actually looks pretty cool.
I thought it looked freaking awesome.
I thought so too.
But, okay, so when we first saw it last time, we thought it was like a physical representation of like all the anger, the hatred, the bitterness, like the stress in Reiner's life, and it's all jagged and crazy, right?
It may still well be some
maybe it's a little
like
bit of that. But one of our commenters, one of the squad, he had a really good comment on our YouTube. He said, in the last scene, Reiner just kind of half transformed, hence why he is almost wearing no armor showing. It's kind of symbolic that Reiner's form is more human looking, showing his humanity, while Eren's form looks more monstrous as he's losing his humanity.
Yeah.
Reiner had to gain his humanity to help protect his allies, where Eren had to let go of his humanity to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
To crush all his enemies.
Dang. So this fight is super short-lived. I mean, it seems like... Now, if I had to guess, I would say Reiner actually does play this one tactically in the correct way, because he's not actually trying to win this fight. He's trying to get Porco back, which he does successfully do. I think it's just almost dumb luck that Eren says, okay, well, I'm out of energy at this point, too. And so the fight is just one punch... Reiner goes down, but he grabs Porco, and at least Eren isn't able to eat him there. It just, I'll be honest,
It doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right. It feels like Eren. We know something's up with Eren. We've kind of known for a little bit here. We've had hunches that Eren is like different. This episode, it's obvious. We now know for sure. Not only is he different, he's actually crossed the scouts in Paradis. Even he's changed or changing.
Arrested.
And so this right here, you're right. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't seem like it's Siyama to be like, oh yeah, he ran out of energy. Oops. The same way that Zeke last episode didn't just get one shot by Levi.
Blown up, and Levi blew
There's a little
himself
more
up.
that meets the eye. We think something's going on. However, I'd say, man, I feel so bad for Reiner, right? Marley pegged him perfectly when they said, Reiner Braun will be perfect for the Armored Titan. He has an amazing capacity to, what was the term?
I don't remember.
Basically, like to persevere.
Yeah.
And that has been his characteristic. He's persevering. He's as hard as it is.
Yeah.
I've got some predictions.
I want to see him turn so bad.
For Reiner, but let's save that for the predictions era. We want to see good things happen. But yeah, Eren, everyone's kind of mentioning this. Eren, it looks like he chooses to not continue. It looks like he's easily able to walk over there.
Reiner was expecting him to, because he had his head up and he was looking at him, and then as soon as they go up to the ship, then Reiner passes out.
Yeah.
I think Eren knew that Reiner had nothing left.
And Eren chooses.
Eren didn't want to kill him.
To not kill him. He says, "Oh yeah, fight's over. I gotta go. I'm out of strength." But it doesn't seem right.
There's got to be something there.
But he chooses to relinquish Porco, the
That's
Jaw
what I'm saying.
Titan,
2 Titans. Eren could have both.
Reiner, and I don't think he wanted to kill Reiner. He says, I don't have enough strength right now to kill Reiner. I'm like, what do you mean? You just one-shot him, bro. Like, all you have to do is walk over there and grab him.
Well, he actually says, see you later, Reiner. Like,
he says, see you later, and he looks like he's sad about it. Now, you didn't think so?
Debates on the look. I don't think he...
So?
I think he looked like he's looked this whole season so far, which is kind of stoic and a little moody, a little creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, the airship was leaving, Heredis is pointing out, so maybe it was like a timing thing, but I think he chose to leave Reiner alone. I think he has hope for Reiner, and I think he felt bad about what was going on there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like a lot more could have happened.
Also,
maybe they
the way
grabbed...
he said, I can't exactly kill Reiner at this point. It wasn't more... to me,
wasn't like I'm unable, yeah.
Yeah, it sounded more like I emotionally can't kill him anymore.
Dang.
Yeah.
I mean, he did orchestrate that conversation. Like obviously we don't have all the answers to this yet, but Eren, when his conversation with Reiner in the basement, going through Falco, like it looks
Falco
like
stay, which ended up being really important.
Yes, which I knew it would. I was like, I know this is going to play into the plot. The fact that Falco seems like an important character, and he anyway, we'll get to that later. But yeah, I think, I mean, Eren and Reiner, what a complex relationship. Because when he comes back to that conversation in the basement, he says to him we're the same. Like, I'm the same as you. We're both essentially fighting for freedom, I think is what that actually means. Or we both want to fight for similar things.
Yeah.
Yeah, or want it.
We're both trying to save the world.
Yeah, both trying to save the world. We're both kind of doing what we quote have to do. But what I'm saying is that Eren hated Reiner for a lot of this.
Yeah.
For a lot of season, since he found out he's the Armored Titan, and justly so, right? He was upset with him, like, you're the reason my mother was killed, and all these other people died, and my friends died. And so we get that. But Eren's had 4 years to think on it and to look back on it, and the thing that Eren looks back on is the time that Reiner said, "You just got to choose to keep moving forward."
Yeah.
And Eren chooses to present that to Reiner and gives him a chance to talk. He gives him a chance to he sits down and has a conversation with the guy. Now he does explode the building. He knows Reiner's not going to die from that. He knows he's going to do his best to save Falco here. We can get into that part later, but all I'm saying is there's definitely more to meet the eye with specifically with Eren's connection to Reiner. I think that's definitely not done. Okay, so they take off. Eren and Mikasa take off, and they catch the ship, and then we get this really somber scene of Armin reaching his hand out to Eren and Mikasa, and no one's saying a word.
Mikasa won't even look at Armin in the eye, and Armin has this look like, I know what you did, Eren.
Well, I think Armin's I know what I just had to do too.
Also, I look what you caused me to have to do. Yeah.
We've seen some things. We've done some things.
Yeah.
War is hell, and it affects everybody. Even if you think you're on the right side, I think nobody gets used to bloodshed and seeing
casualties of war.
And nor should you. It's terrible. I think they all have some definite trauma.
War is not a good thing, but it can be a necessary thing. It's like doing. Yeah, gosh, there's this whole big conversation in the comments. I'm not sure if now is the exact time to get into it. I'll bring this up at least. So the next thing happens, they finally get on the ship. They kind of exchange looks and stuff, and then Levi's like, "You're a filthy sight," or whatever. Like he sees Eren get on the ship.
What's
like,
up, you pile of crap?
Yeah. And then he
kicks him in the face.
Yeah, kicks him in the face. And Mikasa, is still his ride or die. He's like supposed to defend him a little bit.
She starts to, but then Armin just looks at her and she kind of goes, "Yeah, you're right. He deserves it."
Yeah. Well, because Mikasa has been on Eren's side like 110%
no
up until
what.
2 episodes ago, where she said, "Eren, look what you've done. You've killed these innocent people. Like what you've done things that can't be undone." And so we know, anyway, it becomes obvious here that the scouts are pissed at him, and they have this exchange where he says, so the other scouts approach Eren with guns drawn, and he's like, "Yeah, you have such a kickable face." He's like, "Go ahead and, Eren, let's have you tied up, and then we'll take some time to chat." Eren says, "Well, I explained everything in my letters. Did you not understand it?" And
he looks at Levi right now, and his eyes look dead.
Yes.
Looks like he's got no feeling whatsoever and no remorse about what he just did.
Yeah. And so Levi has this like interesting moment too, where he's like, "You look like," well, he says, keeping a PG here, but you look like those craps that we saw that I used to see in the underground, which we know, you remember Levi is from this like underworld of Paradis inside the walls, where people are just, it's the full-on like criminal underworld, basically.
The lowest, the low, like probably the drug addicts, the
prostitution stuff, like the really nasty stuff. And he's like, "I never thought I would see this look on you." And he's like, "But everything, we'll get into this next statement in a second. But I just want to focus on that exchange." So like, Armin's sad because he had to do what he had to do. Mikasa's sad because of everything that just happened. Eren is like sort of conflicted, but also is like, he done wrong here. And here's the thing is, it's not 100% clear. And even Levi's like, okay, not only have you kind of done something that made me upset or that we didn't agree with, you did something such that we have to detain you.
It costs lives to fix the problem that you created.
Yeah.
You killed people, Eren. And he's not letting him off the hook for that. And here's why I think that Paradis has some leg to stand on when it comes to morality. Like, they're not just like, "Yeah, you killed a bunch of people. Who cares?" It's like, no, what you did cost lives.
Yeah.
Let me say something also about Mikasa here.
Yeah.
I love this relationship that Eren and Mikasa have. It's not crazy as it is.
It's cute for the most part.
However, don't get a girl or a guy like Mikasa. Because here Mikasa's like willing to defend Eren even if he's like a suicidal like psychopath. Like, she's so ride or die. She's like, "Where are we burying the bodies, Eren?" Like, that's actually not healthy in a relationship.
That's too far.
That's
you
too
can't be
far.
checked.
You need a spouse. You need somebody who's going to check you, who's going to keep you honest, who's going to keep you doing the right thing, who's going to question, "Hey, is that about the right thing to do? Are you sure?" Right? Someone who's going to help you, question you, make you be like, I want to be a better person because this person, not just like, they'll clean up after me, they'll help me clean up the bodies. That's how you get the who's the Charlie Manson's girlfriend or whatever, right? Like, that's
they get married when he's in prison, and like
that's an enabler right there.
Yeah,
and
that's
we love Mikasa.
Weirdest, like,
Mikasa, have some standards, okay? Call your man into a better morality here, all right?
Yeah, seriously.
That's all I'm saying.
So, all right, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. All right, so Mikasa's thing with Eren, again, up to this point, like, it has definitely been a good thing. And it's been necessary, not just a good relationship or interesting to watch, but it's been like pretty necessary because she's a skilled warrior. And up to this point, Paradis has really relied on Eren. Now, this is just dawning on me as I just said that. So remember, one of the things we pointed out about Marley that we've learned this season is that they've relied on having the power of the Titans. Is they've learned to rely on that and lean into that. And so that's driven them to do some weird stuff. And they were oppressive anyway, but I'm saying like that made them vulnerable. That was actually the thing that ended up being their greatest weakness, is that they were relying too heavily on their greatest strength. They couldn't like diversify. So now they're being kind of outgunned by other nations and so on. In a weird way, because we've had these 4 years, I think that perhaps something similar has set in Paradise, even though it hasn't been 100 years of Titan domination. But it's our only hope is Eren. And that has been the case for them. But the thing is, it was legit. For the most part, he was their only hope from the time they discovered dude could shift into a Titan and beat up other, the
and
Pure
lift
Titans.
rocks and do stuff that they could never do.
He was their only hope for a long time. So they've put their trust very distinctly and necessarily into him. And I have to wonder if what we're watching right now, since we don't have all the backstory, is actually
another cycle like that.
Well, it's not the exact same. What I'm saying is, but it is another instance of you kind of put all your eggs in this one basket. And now you're realizing this isn't. And I'm talking on a purely strategic level, not like a moral thing, but like they kind of been relying on Eren, and now they're like, okay, well, wait a second. It turns out he's not, he's not exactly in everything that we need. And maybe I'm wrong.
He's not always reliable either.
Yeah,
he's a loose cannon.
Maybe I'm wrong because
maybe he actually is the worst person to have the founding Titan.
Reiner was right the whole time.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like, they did learn to work together as a team. It sucks because at the end of season 3, Eren was actually what I would say is in a really good place. We were really hopeful for this season. I still am. But like Eren seemed to have learned a lot of the lessons that you were hoping he would learn, which is rely on your team, work together. Just because you have a special power doesn't make you a special person. And not being special is like you're special because you're a human, not because you have this power. And like the synergy that they had as scouts, the fight for the last fight for Shiganshina to retake the wall, like is so enjoyable. And you're thinking, okay, this is headed in a really good direction. But now we hit fast forward. We're 4 years later and we don't.
Have they gone backwards?
And what has happened? Like, let's just keep going. Let's keep going through the text here.
So Levi hits him with, hey, where I grew up, there was the lowest of the low, the most dejected, miserable addicts, prostitutes, used and abused people. You look just like him, Eren. You look just as miserable as
like
one of those in a slum. I never thought I'd see it on you. This is Eren. This is our bright-eyed fight for freedom. The hope is beyond the walls, right? That was Eren, and now look at Eren. Eren's like, killed a bunch of people, no big deal. Got to keep moving on. You're like,
it's like what Kenny was saying. Everybody's drunk on something, and now Eren is drunk on something, and it seems like he's drunk on revenge
instead of
crushing his enemies,
instead of the hope, right? Mm-hmm. And that's terrible. That scares the hell out of me. And Levi says, "Well, you got everything. Everything happened like you wanted."
And we see a little puff of steam.
I lost my mind when I saw that,
dude.
So then we see Commander Lobov.
Yep.
And Jean, they're hanging from the airship. They're zipping around.
Yep.
Protecting it from potential shooters.
Marley and foot soldiers are just taking pot shots at the airship and stuff.
John says, use all of your ammo to protect the airship from below. And then after a little bit, he realizes, hey, they've got nothing that can bring this airship down. We're good. Everybody get inside. And
got lazy.
Yeah, Commander Lobov says, I'll stick around and protect the flank. You guys go in. And he's like, okay, Commander. And Lobov says, stop calling me a commander. I told you. Now I'm a recruit now. I was just basically one of the garrison members. I'm an overpaid geezer. Dang it! And like, I don't remember him.
Well, he says there's no use for the garrison anymore.
Yeah,
especially an overpaid geezer like me. That's what he said.
So he was a commander in the garrison that they must have known. I don't remember him.
So I don't know if they showed his character specifically. To me, this is actually kind of an important little line. He's not like a throwaway character because he is speaking to, again, this like broader point that I think we're watching unfold, which is that Paradis is justified in their counterattack against Marley. Like Marley's declared war on them. They're trying to defend themselves. And so that's the broader context. But in the more specific context with characters, you have Eren and people like Eren and Flock who seem to be going about this war in a not right way, or not like morally correct way. And then you have the rest of Paradis who is trying their darndest to do it in the right way. Characters like Jean and even Levi, trying to do it that way. And then you have this guy who's served as a garrison, and we understand who the garrison were. We have Hannes to be our guy for that. The garrison are defunct now because their job was they were essentially like, soldiers to defend. There's no Titans left on the island anyway. There's no pure Titans left there. So they were the just in case guys.
So it tells us that they've actually retconned probably the majority of their military to actually train them to become these infiltrators and not just defenders.
Yeah, to become like real scouts. And so what I'm saying is, okay, so the garrison is dissolved because they're not necessary, and I'm sure they're all given the option. Okay, you can join the scouts. You can, like they've restructured their military. It's obvious. And here he is saying like. He's kind of almost saying like that rank, that like commander, like that doesn't mean anything to me. Those are the old days. That's not real. Like that was like we all didn't know what we know now.
Yeah.
And that was the old world. And I don't live in that old world. And I'm not I'm not too proud to be like, yeah, I'm carrying my rank with me. He's like, no, I'm fresh. Like, I want to be a young recruit. He's kind of like I'm trying to think of a good like example, but the
scouts are finally getting their due though.
Yes.
For years they've been made fun of. They've been the lowest of the low. Everyone's like, whatever. Mm-hmm. The garrison and the at least the interior police were the high, prominent, glorified people, and the scouts were made fun of. And now everyone wants to be a scout because they actually are saving the world.
Doing something.
Yeah. And like his little overpaid geezer remark is similar, where he's like, I got this like pension and I started in the military, but like that doesn't mean anything. He's not like looking at that old life and thinking that this is, Anyway, poor guy. All right, so back at the ship, 6 casualties we find out, which seems like we must have seen all 6 then, because I feel like Pieck shot a lot of people.
Yeah.
Pieck
shot a lot of people, and I thought the rocks from...
Yeah, Zeke got some people.
He does just say Lima, so maybe there was more than that.
Maybe just in the Lima squad there's 6?
I feel like it seems like some of the soldiers, I don't know. Anyway, maybe she just meant 6 in their unit.
Yeah. Well, at any rate, we get this. This is where we see Flock again. And again, we're getting this contrast between one war, but multiple different, opinions essentially on it. And Flock is like, yeah, well, look at all the damage we did, we lost 6, but think of all the damage we did. This is a huge victory. This is the beginning of the new Eldian Empire. This is the first victory in battle for the new Eldian Empire. And he's like, yeah, and everybody's kind of cheering, and some are kind of like, there's like this mixed reaction to that.
Some people are crying, some people are cheering.
Yeah. The new Eldian Empire. It's mentioned actually 2 times in this. One by this guy, Flock, who we know has some pretty questionable beliefs. And the second time it's mentioned by
Zeke, right?
Zeke.
Who's also questionable in about 100 ways from Sunday. I'm telling you.
I don't trust those guys as far as I can throw them, but I don't trust Eren at this point either. Like, I'm scared of the price he's willing to pay.
Isayama, what are you doing to us?
Yeah.
Is this show really turning into Breaking Bad, where like the hero is actually the villain? You're like,
you just hate everybody. You're
at the end of the show, like everyone's just horrible.
So he says, tonight we're going to celebrate our fallen heroes. We're going to toast our fallen heroes. And like, this is war talk. But this is also like, this is rhetoric, man. This is like kind of culty behavior. Flock has finally found something that like he likes. And I don't know if I like it, because we can't just move forward to a new Eldian Empire. It's not just Eldia versus, Marley.
Cut the Empire out of it. Like, that's not what you're fighting. That's not what you should be fighting.
You've been fighting to free your people, or should be, to free your people from oppression inside the walls and inside the internment zones, right? Get the Eldians free at some point and let them be treated with respect and kindness. And then let's work on, solving some issues cross-continentally with everybody else.
Sure.
So John says, I'm sick of fighting. How many have to die till the fighting's over? He's already sick of the fighting. This is probably the first war on Marley's shores. We don't know what else they've done. And we watched this back to take some notes. And as we were watching it back, right when he says, how many have to die, the camera pans to Sasha in the back.
It like closes up on her face.
It's so sad.
And she's looking out to make sure nobody's coming up on the ship, which is where they should have stayed.
Yeah. And this is a farewell to a character that we like really love. Like, he's actually, because there's that line, and the next thing that happens is Connie comes over and is like, hey guys, like, I'm just glad we survived.
He hugs both of them and
you're special to me.
Says, I know it's not fair to the rest of the people, but I'm glad we all survived again.
Yeah.
Because you're both special to me. And Sasha like smiles and puts her hand on his hand, and it's like this sweet moment. And I'm like, one of them is going to die. Like, as soon as that was happening, I don't know if I said it out loud or not. I can't remember. But I was like, one of them is about to die. It's going to happen any second.
We were scared, man, the whole time.
And I thought it was going to be Connie. But I feel like Sasha is equally heartbreaking. Yeah. John can't die yet because he's been way too dark of a character. And he's probably going to end up surviving because he's been so jaded the entire time. And that's just how animes tend to be.
Yeah,
the ones that are like... how many times has Jean been like, this is how I die. This is it. I'm going to die.
True.
He is expected to die like several times.
But he's grown as a character.
He has,
so
but I'm just saying, because he's been so jaded and like expecting death, he's probably going to survive. But like, I don't know, Connie and Sasha, the pure-hearted, loyal fighters.
Country folk.
They're the ones that are probably going to like die the most tragic, pointless deaths.
So,
because Sasha's death was completely pointless. Like, it was 100% pointless. There was no No, like that did not have to happen. She wasn't sacrificing herself or doing anything else. She was just standing there and she got freaking shot.
Okay, wait.
Because a child was misguided.
Pointless from a story perspective or pointless from...
Just like what I'm saying is after everything she's been through.
Right.
Yeah.
She
For
didn't die
her
in the heat
death
of
to have a
battle.
little bit more meaning would have been nice.
Yeah.
But no.
I think her death will.
Maybe. I hope so.
I think it will. Eric and
Should
I
I
have some
save this?
predictions. We're saving our predictions for the
Okay,
end.
all right.
We've got a Reiner prediction and we've got a Sasha Gabby prediction.
Reiner, yeah, exactly.
Anyway, it's just...
Paradis says that Lubov was the commander of the Urva district, which was where Rod Rice attacked.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We'll have to go back and...
Good call
I
on
remember
that.
thinking
watched
he
those
was
recently.
kind of semi-familiar, but I couldn't figure out why.
What?
He says Gabby achieved 20% of the Marleyan kill count.
Yeah, pretty much.
Too soon, bro.
Pretty much.
Too soon.
Oh, my gosh.
That's what she does, though.
Another comment that 80s kid says, I don't know exactly, but Eren definitely has some Anakin Skywalker vibes in him.
Some other people
One
on
of our
YouTube
commenters
were saying this.
said we hoped he was Luke Skywalker, but maybe he's turning out to be more like Anakin Skywalker.
Right. Which is, you know what? Like, in my heart of hearts, like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
But give me an Obi-Wan to kind of go along with, and we can at least love the
If
story.
he kills Levi, I'm going to be so mad at him.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Anyway, what's the predictions?
Right.
That's predictions.
Okay. So they also one last little bit from the scenes where they're like Sasha, again, we're having cute moments with Sasha right up to the end, and she's like, when are you gonna get rid of that little beard or whatever, that tiny? She says you're always fussing over your tiny little beard.
Sean's like, don't hug us when you have gear on or hard gear on, and then Sasha's like, or no, Connie says, you're always fussing about your stupid beard, and then Sasha says,
she literally has a tiny little beard.
Why? Yeah.
Why have it? Yeah.
Why did you bother growing that? You can't eat it. Like, you can't eat your hair either. What is she talking about?
We could eat soon. Anyway, gosh, I love her to death.
She's just like always obsessed with food.
The show will cease to be funny now because there's not a lot of comic relief. Like, there's just here and there. And Sasha's generally
90% of it.
And now she's
Sasha
gone.
and Connie are
now we got John and Connie pretty much are the only ones.
Connie's the only one left because really Sasha and Connie were the comic relief people.
But John would get into it with Connie and with Eren and kind of bust their balls a little bit. So I guess
Levi
we'll see.
sometimes too, but mostly it was those two.
So here we pan into our faithful potato girl. And she says, "Are we eating soon?" And they kind of bust Jean's balls, and they're like, "What a useless leader you are with your goofy little beard." Sasha's like, "Why would you grow it if you can't eat it?" Like, I don't know, is that a plant reference? I don't know.
I think so because she is a farm girl.
She was a farmer. That's true.
So this whole time, Falco and Gabby have been chasing after the airship. Gabby with this like anger in her heart, right, seeing them run away.
Yeah, screaming at Eren.
Falco catches up to her and he says, "Look, it's pointless. They're running away on an airship." And here Gabby turned and she says, "But Zofia and Udo, the two guards that stopped me, it was too dangerous."
Yeah. Like, she recounts their deaths. Now, this is on purpose. They spend time on this part on the show. Because, and this happened before, like with Eren and with other characters inside the walls, is where they kind of recount or retell the story of somebody's death, usually to a Titan previously, but now it's not just I guess Eren was a Titan when it happened. Anyway, point is, she like recounts her death, and it is like there's no getting around the tragedy of what she's saying. She's like Zofia, she's just like caught in the rubble, and you're like, wow, that's really tragic.
And she was sitting right next to her. Yeah,
and now if you're a conscious observer, like the first thing I actually thought of was all the times that Eren specifically has to recount not just his mother's death, but when they pan back to Sheik and Sheena on the day of, and how many, because Eren's mother was also crushed by a bolter and then eaten by a Titan. Like it was just like, that's actually what draws you into the show in the first place. He's like, oh my gosh, the show just starts off with like this horrendous tragedy. And it wasn't just him. Like there's all these times through the first 3 seasons where we pan back, or we go back and we see all the innocent lives lost in the large scale combat of Titans, which is an interesting, especially coming from a Japanese author, like where, you know, the originators of the Godzilla story and like the Power Rangers and like all of these different shows where large monstrous robots and or creatures do combat in populated cities,
just
and they
wreak havoc. Like
in the Power Rangers, I'm like, I know it's a kid's show, so they're never gonna like talk about this, but they're like knocking buildings over.
Yeah,
and stuff.
And I'm like, are there people in those buildings? Are like hundreds of people just dying right now and nobody even mentions it? Like, yay, Power Rangers go. Like, go kill people?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Cars are getting like drop kicked across, football stadium sized areas. What's going on?
But think about how many shows have that. But then,
a
like,
lot.
that filmic sort of trope, I'm pretty sure starts with like Godzilla, maybe King Kong. King Kong's an American one, but Godzilla's a Japanese story. So anyway, just interesting that he like decides to take this tack on it.
So
anyway,
so then she says to Falco, because she's feeling like she can't do anything, but then she has to kind of like work through her emotions. She has to bring it all out, and she has to say something like, "It can't be pointless because my friends are dead, and I have to do something about it." Right? And this is serious Eren Yeager vibes when he was a kid, watching his village get invaded. He has to do something, right? Everyone else is crying. Eren stands on that boat and he makes a vow. I'm going to do something about it one day. And here Gabi is like telling Falco, listen, people spit at me when I go outside these walls. I was born inside these walls, right? That's why I try so hard to show the world that Eldians are good people, so we can be proud one day of our armbands. This is my home. This is where the people I care about live. Isn't trampling this unforgivable, right? And I like understand what she's saying here.
Oh yeah, how can you not?
But also I'm like, honey, if you have to have armbands, you'll never be viewed as good people.
Exactly. Here's the thing is,
when she's like, I want to be proud of my armband, in my head I was like, why do you even need a freaking armband?
Yes.
Dude,
rip that thing off and just be a person.
People
You need to
won't
be
ever
free.
see you as a person unless you take off the slave collar, unless you break free from these shackles, unless you take off the thing that is labeling you your star, like.
Now she's a young. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I understand the thinking behind that, because there's a native tradition where if you were a kid and they made fun of you for something, they being like, well, whoever, the white people or the other kids in the tribe, whoever, your family would take that term and they would use it over and over and over towards you until it became a positive thing instead of a negative thing. So they wouldn't let that word be negative. So I get kind of the idea of taking that negative thing and trying to be proud of it and trying to turn it around and redeem it and make it a positive thing. And I think there's definitely some beauty in that.
Someone's saying in the comments that Gabi says in the manga, she says she fought so hard so she wouldn't have to wear the armband one day.
Oh.
Whereas the subs, I saw it
says. So.
Yeah, because that's what our take was. When we were seeing the Tybers, we were like, how come the Eldians don't say, one day I want to be like them. I want to be treated like a full person.
Yeah.
Free, actually free.
But none of them say that.
That's a really random, interesting side effect in the show. Just the fact that we're not all like Japanese speakers, and the fact that it's a separate translation for not even just between manga and show, but even if you watch the show on different networks, the translations are slightly different sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're still getting the gist of the story, but that seems like an important point. Yeah. So this whole deal with Gabi, like, again, like the heartbreak is you can't get away from it. Sophia, Udo die in tragic ways, the side effects of this like war, and I like this because I think what it's supposed to be doing is supposed to be telling you, okay, these are casualties of war, and it like sucks. So what justifies war in the first place? I think that's the actual broader question, at least of this like season. I think a lot of people are missing that. They're like, no, Paradis bad now, Marley good now, blah, blah, blah. Like it's just a morally simplistic way of looking at it when that's not the full story.
Yeah.
Like the full story is much broader than that. I'm just gonna say this now because I'm like gotta get it off my chest. But I'm like, listen, we got blown up pretty hard on like YouTube on the reactions video. You are watching the podcast. I think you understand. We have a fairly nuanced position. We understand the moral intricacies.
We're not rooting for senseless violence.
No.
We don't just want
Or
them to find a
genocide,
way.
people
or
to die.
children dying.
We're
We
not on
want
board
good
with that.
things to happen. We want there to be peace. We want the wickedness to be brought away. We want people to be treated like humans.
Yes. Yes. And that's the ideal, what's coming from us is, we are Christians and we have this, that's our worldview is that, yes, we want there to be, peace on the earth and people that like all people are equal in the sight of God and all that jazz. Obviously it's an anime. It's not taking place in real life. I understand that. But at any rate, like what I'm trying to say is that in what Gabi's seeing here is we're zooming in on war. And war is one of those things you have to look at from two perspectives. You have to zoom out and you have to zoom in. When you zoom out, you see World War II as the best example. You see the Allies and the Axis powers. You see Hitler, who's just clearly an evil dude, trying to take over the world, killing Jews. Like, there's no doubt that that the Empire of Germany and Hitler and his regime needed to be stopped. And you weren't going to do that by dropping, slam poets in on Germany and having them pass out, flyers and why you should love everybody and like, stop like being so mad, bro. Like that's not how you end a war. Like you have to fight back, right? So that's the zoom out on war. And we all can agree, like, no, there are times when you have to fight. And this would be true in smaller scale situations. I brought up something like if there's like a mass shooting or something like that and you're armed or you have a way to stop it. Like we always look at those people as heroes. They used violence against somebody else who was committing violence, but it was we all know that that's justified and was the right thing to do. Right, so that's war on like the zoom out context, but war on the zoom in context is always way harder because you look at, all right, was America's role in World War II justified? How could it not be? Like we literally had to play a massive role in saving Europe and honestly China and the Pacific, and we played such a massive role. A lot of the Allied powers did, but we had to do that. But when you zoom in and you go, okay, well, what about those Japanese internment camps? And you would be right. Like, yeah, that was bad. And what about, some of the propaganda that was printed against, specifically the Japanese? Or what about, maybe some of the American spies, espionage tactics? Like, sure, when you zoom in, you can see the moral intricacies are not just the broad stuff. Was this war justified or not? But you're still an individual, even when you're in war, which means you can go about it in a right way and go about it in a wrong way. So the wrong thing to do here, let's take American, foreign involved. Let's say the war in Iraq or whatever, right? Whether or not you agree with the overall justification of invading another country for whatever reason, you still have to look at individual soldiers. Are they behaving properly per their job? If they are, then you can't fault them. But if they're not, then you can fault them. And I'll say this, is that when I think everybody knows on this point, when one person, let's take Flock, for example here, Flock does bad stuff, killing innocent people and not caring about it, which is bad. But he doesn't represent all of the greater cause between Paradis and Marley in the conflict. He doesn't represent the whole thing. In the same way, now Eren probably represents more of the cause of Paradis because he's like one of their main weapons, but we're finding out in this episode that he also doesn't fully represent the cause of Paradis. So you see what I'm saying? Is like when you look at the bigger context, like no, Paradis is definitely justified in their retaliation against Marley. Marley sent brainwashed child soldiers in an unprovoked attack against a tiny island that was trapped by man-eating monsters, and they killed 250,000 people in their first go.
Well, remember Marley told them, hey, don't kill innocent civilians, right? Oh, they didn't?
No diplomacy.
They told them to kill all the island devils?
No diplomacy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I thought it was morally equal, Eric.
No. Paradis and Marley are not morally equal. Marley is a warmongering nation. This use the power of the Titans and oppresses the Eldians.
And the rest of the world. Can we also talk about how they're racist against literally all other people groups except Marleyans? That whole dinner party proved that to me, the way that they were all the other people, the way they were talking about them and looking down on them, even the dignitaries
they've
acting better than them.
They use the Titans to oppress every other nation. All the nations are like, we have to be allies with you, but we don't want to be allies with you.
Speaking of becoming the monster that you're trying to overcome, Marley did it first.
Well, and then now Flock is like, oh, the new LD. And I'm like, you're gonna restart the same cycle, bro.
Let's not do that. Let's not return to the vomit.
Yeah.
Walk away.
Yeah.
And so back to Gabi retelling her story of casualties of war. What we're looking at, you can't look at those casualties of war and go, okay, yes, this is proof. You can't just take this one example and say, look, this is proof. Paradis equal bad, Marley equal good.
That's how racism starts.
Exactly.
You say, one person of one race did this one thing. They all must be like that. And it's like, no. You have to look way deeper into the issue than just saying, okay, because one person did something bad, they're all wicked or they're all evil.
Yeah. Now, having said that, you do also we have to feel Gabi's heartache.
Totally.
She's a young kid.
Experience loss.
Experienced a massive loss, and she's just now she's had minutes at this point. It's been hours perhaps in this all taking place, and she's trying to get through it now.
So she says, I was
just gonna jump to Falco,
okay.
But
she says, after all that, isn't trampling the place where I love unforgivable? And here's the thing: people are all about war sometimes until it comes to them. And that's why we were cheering so hard when you got Homeboy who's like, I declare war, and war comes to you immediately. And it's like, guess what? Nobody wants war. You shouldn't want war. You shouldn't desire war.
And Gabi, you're training to be the armored Titan to go to Paradise to trample them.
Right.
Now it came to you and you can't take the heat.
They're not human though.
That's what she thinks, right? Exactly.
Right. So she's brainwashed. Yes, we give her some grace. We're not totally lost on Gabi. So she says, isn't trampling the place where I live, isn't that unforgivable? You're saying that we should do nothing, right? And that's like unthinkable. Feeling that power of like powerlessness, you just got this incredible like hard blow dealt to you, and you have to do nothing. That's how like trauma deeply starts, right? She says, no, I've got to do something. And Falco says, he remembers the scene between Eren and Reiner. And Reiner and Falco, or sorry, Eren says to Falco and to Reiner, why Reiner? Why was my mom eaten by a Titan? And Falco starts to put the pieces together.
God, I love this guy.
What a dude, man. Falco.
New faith character. Falco.
Right.
I'm on board. Team Falco.
Gosh, we lost Sasha, but we gained a Falco this episode, right?
True.
So he says, they were trampled on. The enemy was attacked by Marley. What's happening right now is revenge for what our side did, essentially. And then Gabi hits him with like this weird line, and I'm not sure what she means. Maybe you guys can tell us, but she says, did you see it happen?
It's
Neither
sort of,
did I.
It's sort of like if it didn't happen in front of my eyes, it's not real. You can disassociate yourself from something horrible if you didn't see it with your own eyes. It's just those people over there that happened to, and it doesn't have any effect on you or your choices.
Yeah.
That's the only explanation I have for that line, other than I don't know what.
Yeah. I'm not sure either. It's not. Yeah.
I think it's more like it's
clear.
not real to me, so it didn't happen as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
What she saw with her own eyes was her own people being trampled and her own friends dying.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she saw. That's what matters to her. She doesn't care about something that happened far away that has nothing to do with her.
Yeah. So yeah, I love Falco's like. Somebody else put this in the Twitch comments, like he's pure of heart, which I think is a really good way to describe him, because he is, and like I said last episode, I was like, wow, they're really setting Falco up to like hate like Eren and like Paradis and stuff like that. And then in this episode you go, oh, well, okay, but he's actually smart enough and sort of like has enough I don't know, perspective. I don't know how to say it. Like he's wise enough to be like, oh, maybe that's not all there is to the story. And he's
like Armin that way. He's looking at it from multiple angles.
Yeah.
He's not just looking at his own side of the story.
And they've been dropping hints of this throughout this season, really, of like the whole thing with Reiner, and like everybody's kind of having these like, oh, wait a second, maybe they're not all that we thought they were. Anyway, yeah. So,
First Martyr says, this war will be fought on our own lands. Our own children will learn of it with their own eyes.
Ooh.
Patriot quotes, bro.
Patriot, dude.
Let's go. It's getting deep.
Dude. Talk about war movies. Okay, so yeah, Gabi ends this whole exchange with like, they have this like kind of moment, and then she goes, well, they're all just an island of devils. And you should know above everything, like anyone else, you should know that they are just cruel devils who always deserve to die.
That is the worst.
That's how deep it goes.
Who always deserves to die? Like always? From the moment you're born, you just always deserve to die? What the heck kind of garbage is that?
It's what you just said. Was when you dehumanize them, when you dehumanize the enemy, they're easier to kill.
It's true.
And she's been exposed to this, and even her whole thing about, I know it's disputed a little bit, but like being proud of the armband or being proud of, like, there needs to be such a, people need to know there's such a thing as good Eldians, and we can be good people, and like all that jazz. Like,
I got a message for you though. If you want to be a good LDA, you don't start by hating other people for their race and their skin color.
Especially when they're just like you, literally genetically and in every other way.
Yeah. So she says, they're nothing like us. We're way different than them. Even
on the airship, she says, we true Eldians. And I'm like, what is that
But
crap?
remember Reiner at the dinner was like, yeah, they're just some terrible people. They just share potatoes with each other, and they're funny. And they,
what a weird... He's like,
they're just like us. And Eren, and remember Falco remembers that scene with Eren and Reiner, and he says, it's just, we're the same. It's the same across the sea. It's the same as it is here. Reiner, I'm the same as you. And Gabi doesn't get it, but Falco gets it. He's starting to put the pieces together, and Falco is like our hope for the future, man.
Dang, dude.
He's the one who can come from both sides, and he can end the war, I think.
I think they both end up being our hope for the future, even though I obviously hate what she's about to do, but
she runs off.
Yep, she runs off. She, with her rifle, we see the airship go by. We see, she sees Lobov.
Oh, and Lobov is a heartless killer, right? And just shoots her immediately, right?
Nope. He sees that he raises his gun because he sees somebody with a gun, and then he withdraws his gun and goes, "Oh,
it's a kid.
It's a kid. I'm not going to shoot her." And she shoots and nails him.
Yeah, we got to point out
this is the second time
sliding headshot from Gabby. Like,
yeah, she's played some COD.
But yeah, 360 no scope. Here we go.
She's definitely done this.
She seems surprised that it worked herself, though.
Yeah.
She's like, "I hit him."
Like what? So. Again, providentially, it seems like his body comes to the ground, and his ODM gear is still attached to this slow-moving airship. And so she's like, "How long
is that line, man?
Oh man, freaking long,
so long."
There's some physics in this show that don't
make any sense because the airship, which is an airship and moves faster than a slug, is still flying, and he's just like laying on the ground, not moving. That makes no sense.
His body should have been dragging along the ground.
At the very least, they should have been chasing after him. Something.
Physics aside, it works out okay. In AOT universe, this works. So she grabs him and and she's like, "Oh, this is my chance." I love that Colt finally shows up. Where has he been this whole time?
Dude, sorry. 80s.
You want to save this
one? That 80s kid says Gabby was shown mercy by 2 Paradis Island devils. She killed both of them.
She did. She shot both of them, which is why I think she's going to turn, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so Colt shows up. We thought Colt was dead. So I'm really excited to see Colt again.
Yeah. I've had a hunch that
last time we saw him, he was running off looking for his brother into the fighting.
Okay.
He wasn't dead, but he was looking for his brother and Reiner.
Yeah, I think Colt is also ultimately a good-hearted. What we've seen of him, I think he ultimately actually wants the right things as well.
And remember, all these guys are kind of disciples of Zeke, and Zeke has been sending down some messages.
Oh, Colt specifically. Colt has been very close to Zeke. It's weird to me that Colt
would leave him behind.
It's almost strange to me that Colt doesn't actually know Zeke's secret yet.
Or Reiner.
Right.
Because Reiner would have gone too.
Right.
I feel like in a second.
Oh dang! Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
So Gabby eventually gets in, and Reiner's the one who told Falco, "You have to stop Gabby from getting the
dark
armor."
Future that awaits us. Yeah.
So Falco grabs onto her, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I need to get the armor." And you're like, "That's not what you should say. You should say, no, I want to save you. I care about you."
Yeah. He's like, "The one who deserves armor."
He did try to say that to her once, and she just whoop, didn't get it. So he gave up and just said the same thing he's always been saying, which is, "I'm going to be the armor titan."
So Gabby gets in.
It's like his default setting.
She rolls in. Yes, it's true. They relaxed. They weren't guarding. Someone mentioned earlier that everybody should have had a buddy. In the military, you always have a buddy. Check on your buddy to make sure you get him in. Yeah. Genius.
Yeah. The fact that, again, that's why I'm saying it's providential. It's everything has to line up for this. She has to hit that shot. He has to follow the ground. She has to figure out how to use the ODM gear. They have to all not be paying attention. It all lines up very, very coincidentally, very perfectly, which is why we know it's going to be part of this larger story arc. But seriously, guys, watch your flying. One guy out there, buddies. Anyway, all right. So she gets on. Sneaks in and then pulls the rifle, and it's not clear that she's aiming for Sasha. She just sort of shoots. She just does, and gosh, she looks shocked because she's just killed someone. Which I would have, if I had to venture to guess, this is the first time she's seen it like that. She blew up that train. She's seen warfare before.
Yeah, she has a shocked look on her face when she shoots Sasha.
But she's like, "I just shot somebody. Yeah. What the heck?" And so they're all freaked out, and then this is the part we're kind of debating over during the recap. But she goes and does cycles her weapon, the bolt action, and then Jean pulls his weapon, and maybe they both shoot, but they both miss. Right? Falco, for sure. Falco jumps at Gabby I think 100%. He jumps on Gabby to stop her from shooting another soldier. I think there's no question about it.
Yeah,
and that's what he's at least that much of it. I feel confident.
And he ends up saving both their lives, John and hers. Zeke did say Colt will find out his dirty secret. The real R says that this is his dirty secret.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
When he said that, I was like, he brushed it off like he was joking. I'm like, Zeke, we know you're not joking,
yeah.
Bro. What's your secret now?
Or it has said Zekret.
His dirty secret is that he's been in cahoots with his brother for years.
What is your secret?
Yeah, interesting.
We'll get to Zeke in a second.
We'll get into more of that. So. Jean takes a shot. He misses. Gabby misses. They rush him. They beat the hell out of both of them.
And then we got to
Jean turns around and he sees our fallen hero, Potato Girl herself. And she says, "Why are you guys being so damn loud? Are we eating soon?" And they grab her and they get bandages. Music starts to swell. She turns and she looks at the camera and she says, meet.
And then that's it. Curtains.
Jean.
A true salute to you, Sasha. You've
True
been
salute.
an ace. You've been one of my favorite side characters of all time.
We love you, Potato Girl.
We love you. May you rest well with Marco and the other great soldiers
And Erwin.
that we miss, and Erwin, all of our favorite people. Hanes, you were one of the good ones, Sasha.
I bet you they're eating a good meat up there right now.
Man, freaking.
In Scout Heaven.
So-
Tell me there's a Scout. All Scouts go to heaven.
All
Is
Scouts
that-
go to heaven, baby.
It's the spinoff. There's actually a spinoff film. It's going to be great.
So here's what I love about this scene. Jean's losing his mind. One of his best friends just got killed. And Flock, the one who has like no mercy on anybody, says, let's toss these kids out, right? Right, Jean? Right?
Even then.
Even then, Jean says, if we toss kids out, the killing will never end. Like, we cannot become heartless individuals. We have to fight this war with some principle. Otherwise, what's the point of it? Right?
Which brings us to the other kind of ethical point that we've been talking about all week since last episode, which is that it's not that any action is always wrong or always right. We brought up like lying.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was like, yeah, it's wrong to lie. You shouldn't lie. But also everyone is, okay, if you're lying to the police to save a Jew from getting, snatched up by the SS during, and tortured and killed, or if you're lying to, local authorities in the South during the slavery or whatever for the Underground Railroad, no one thinks that lie is morally wrong, right? There are right and wrong actions. So going to war isn't necessarily wrong, but killing innocent people on purpose who are defenseless, who are surrendering with no point at all, that is still wrong, even though you're in war. And you can see what I'm saying. Like, it's contextual. Like, it matters. Like, the way things play, the way the situation changes the justification. And so in this case, like, were children killed when what am I trying to say? When Armin transformed? Yeah, it sure seemed like it. They specifically showed what looked like a very young person in the rubble. And that is because Armin was attempting to do an attack on a military, whatever, on the battleships, and that was the point. And there was a casualty of war. It wasn't his intention, but that is one of the, again, gray/horrifying parts of war. Why you should never celebrate going to war.
Yeah.
Stuff like that happens. It's an accident, but it does happen. But that is extremely different than, hey, look at these two kids who are defenseless. We're just going to chuck them. Now, there would be some justification there that they were still a threat, but they're not. You have them subdued.
They're now, and they're kids.
They're kids and they're prisoners of war. And so the right thing to do is what Jean is saying. And this is called mercy. And this is called having a conscience. And this is why I love Jean.
Yeah. So here we flash to Pieck. And we thought she was dead.
She was so still in that frame. I was like, she gone.
I thought she was dead.
I thought there was going to be a whole new thing where like her Titan power went off randomly and we were going to be like, oh no. And it was going to be like another long time.
I thought she might die too because they were saying she's not regenerating fast enough. Like she was bleeding out before her body could catch up. But it seems like that is not the case.
The way she talks, her voice isn't broken up. She just says, Commander. You're like, oh, okay, she's fine, I guess. But she's got still a huge
Then
hole
again,
in her.
I guess if you think about it, Ymir was like missing entire sections of her mid area and she didn't die. She just took her a really long time to regenerate.
True.
So she says, Commander, I noticed a guard. It's the same guard I noticed 3 years ago. The first scout fleet sent to Paradis after Reiner came back. So that scout, the one with the fake beard, ends up being a girl, Yelena.
A really tall girl who looks a lot like Armin, which freaks me out, by the way. Why?
Armin's an effeminate looking guy, though.
I know, but she looks so much like him. It's freaking weird.
Hey, they do all come from the same gene pool. There's a very distinct possible.
Also,
maybe they're cousins or something. I don't know.
But she says, yeah, I had a particular interest in this one. This was the first person to be on a scout boat to Paradis after Reiner came back. So hypothetically, this has been going on for a long time, right?
The whole time, potentially.
Yeah. She says she was one of Zeke's closest followers. Speaking of Zeke,
which means he's been.
Zeke is alive, like we thought. Zeke is not just dead. Zeke is alive. He's captured.
He's a turncoat.
He was a turncoat. He is working with the invading Paradisians to form a new LD or something. We see this team And
We don't find that out yet, though.
oh,
No,
sorry.
you kind of skipped ahead
I
a
knew
little
it
bit.
was. As soon as
That was
like
a little
one
bit
of
of a
Zeke's,
spoiler. But anyway.
one of Zeke's followers and the
Closest
steam comes
followers.
off. I was like, I knew it.
Now,
I knew it.
Dude, I just want to hit this really quick because this is where she reveals. Now,
So
okay,
you hear
rewind.
a voice say, "Take that thing off of you." And is it Levi or is
no, not to that part. I'm saying with Pieck, when she's still talking, she says that soldier who led us into the trap. Yeah, I recognize him from 3 years ago on the ship. They were on the first ship, the first scout ship. They got sent to Paradis, and Commander Magath. That's the one she's talking to.
Yeah,
Magath.
yeah.
And he goes, the scout ships, like you're saying one of the scout ships that went missing. I don't want to overplay my hand here, but
Oh, I see. So that scout went missing and then showed back up, and Pieck remembered
because
her.
rewind to Zeke talking to
That makes
Magath.
a heck of a lot more sense now. I was
Yes.
like, what the heck is she talking
Okay.
about?
Zeke is talking to rewind episode 2. Zeke is talking to Magath, and Colt is there. The three of them are talking. That's where we first discover this idea that they've sent 30-something ships, and none of them have returned. And I said at the time,
All
I
the
was like,
people on those ships
they haven't returned. Those ships haven't returned, but that doesn't mean that they were destroyed.
Yeah.
So remember, so Zeke, who probably now know who he probably was lying then, but Zeke's like, oh, well, it must have been the Titans, but they must have had at least more than just one Titan in order to destroy all those ships.
Right.
So Zeke is intentionally misleading Magath, I think, right there. I think.
Does that mean that all the people sent on those ships turned?
I don't know
Wait.
because
Let me finish my conspiracy.
Sorry.
Okay.
Let me finish my conspiracy. If Zeke is for him to turn, they just took the most villainous character perhaps from the last 3 seasons and just turned him. I applaud you. Now here's
I'm with Levi. I still don't trust him.
Oh, I don't trust
I'm
him.
like,
no, I don't trust him as far as
I think
can throw
Levi
him.
still needs to kill him. I
And
don't
he
know.
knows he's a royal.
Walk with me into conspiracy. I'll be Alex Jones for just a brief second. All right. Levi's gay. No, I'm not. Sorry.
The frogs.
The frogs. Okay. I think it's possible that those ships, maybe not all of the soldiers, but perhaps with the infiltrators that Paradis, with the help of Zeke and other infiltrators, spies, whatever, turncoats that are in Marley, that they orchestrated to have a bunch of restorationists, a bunch of Eldians, a bunch of soldiers who were willing to join with Paradis's cause shipped over to Paradise. That they were exchanging information, that those ships were going there. And I'm not saying every soldier on every ship, but I'm saying, like, what if Zeke was helping to orchestrate, if some large number of...
He's choosing the scouts. He's handpicking them, and he's sending the ones over there.
Yeah, ensuring that those people that are on the boats aren't... And like I said, what my original theory was when I first heard that was, they were capturing those ships. They're going to use those ships as weapons, which may still be the case. But I was like, I don't think they got destroyed.
Yeah, you actually were onto that earlier. I was like, they wiped up all those ships. Yes, go. And you're like, no, what if they captured them? I was like, they could have their own navy, which they may very well have. They've got their own airship. They've got some kind of diplomatic relationships. And now, hypothetically, they've turned a bunch of wall restorationists or new Eldians or whatever you want to call them into saying, hey, the people on the island aren't just our enemy.
Right. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm sure we're headed for a world war. The opening sequence seems...
for sure.
It's like...
Sanjay said so.
Yeah. All right. So now the girl with the beard and this Levi's there. He's like, you're going to wear that thing forever? And she's like, oh, yeah, and takes it off. And it's like, I thought I sold it really well. And we cut back to Gabi, and she's like, don't touch me, you devils. My comrades are going to carry out the will of War Chief Zeke and blah, blah, blah. And she's just going
We're
off
going
to
to come
Jean.
back and haunt you.
Yeah. She
With double.
And she says, you can tell your leader that I'm going to... And he says, our leader, I'll take you to him. Knowing that she
says
just
your
talked about...
ringleader is, yeah.
But she just talked about Zeke. And he's like, okay.
You want to see our ringleader? I'll take you to him.
Yeah.
You
I'll
see the
take
one
it.
who planned all this?
So
This is going to blow your mind.
They do a quick cut back now to the Pieck scene, and she goes, how did you identify that soldier? And she says, I had a special interest in this one because they were one of the devout followers of Zeke. And
She was one of the... She even knows it was a girl.
She was one of the devout followers of Zeke. And then we get the big reveal. We get the big surprise. Oh my God! There's the kid. They don't even actually show Zeke.
They show the steam.
The steam. What a great reveal!
And then they
I
show
knew
their
it.
faces, and they're just like shook to their core.
Commander Zeke, what are you doing here?
But then they do the the 80s
The
sitcom
comedy,
trope.
yeah. Like,
where,
what are you doing here?
Well, no, like Hanji walks in as if to not notice anybody else in the room and says something really revealing right at the perfect time, like, "Oh yeah, Zeke, everything worked out the way you." Oh, I'm sorry, people,
Jaeger,
you don't want
and
to
she
know.
like specifically says Jaeger.
Yeah, like that happens all the time in movies, and I'm like, okay, you always walk into a room and never see anybody else, and happen to just say the most sensitive thing possible.
Which almost makes me wonder if like Gabi and Falco knew his last name was Zeke Jaeger, or if they just knew him as War Chief Zeke. I'm just wondering because she's makes a big deal out of saying Zeke Jaeger,
Yeah,
and
the
then
brothers
Patty,
Jaeger.
and then they're both like Zeke's son. Like,
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good
who
point.
are you?
They never say, and Marley, so far
The
as
only-
we've seen,
yeah.
they've never said his last name.
They never do. The only time that they ever discuss his lineage is behind closed doors with the war generals in Marley and War Generals, talking about how he's not his father's son and he's trying to disassociate himself from the Jaeger name and all that stuff. Which makes me wonder if perhaps that's the first time that those two ever heard that name.
of Zeke.
Gabi.
Yeah, I
Jaeger.
think so. I mean, talk about a shock of a life.
There's
Can you imagine
really
that?
no way to like get away from that too. Once she says Jaeger and they know Eren Jaeger is like, oh,
They're half brothers.
They're
Everything
brothers.
you know is a lie.
yeah,
So she says, "Does everything play out the way you hoped, Zeke Jaeger?"
yeah.
And he says, "A few miscalculations." And they say, "Who the heck are these kids?" And he says, "Miscalculations."
Miscalculations.
Miscalculations. His look on his face too. He's like,
Yeah,
Oops.
which is okay. This is interesting though because, we would think that Zeke would want to take as many people as he could. He would want to take Reiner. He would want to take Colt and Falco. Maybe he would want to take.
Zeke wants to take. If this is what we think it is, if Zeke's a recruiter, if he's helping, for whatever his reasons may be, if that's the case, Zeke is going to. He's a very clever man. He's going to take people that he can trust. He might like Reiner. Reiner's unstable. He can't trust him, right? He might like Falco. He might like Gabi and know them to be, good soldiers in whatever way. But the thing is, they're young and they're the brainwashed ones. These aren't going to be easy converts. If he's smart about it, he's going to take the people that he can trust, which would be a random Marleyan soldier who can fly a Zeppelin. You know what I mean? A random Marleyan soldier who can, lead people to this trap. Like I don't know. Does that make sense? Like I'm with you. Like you would want the strength of the assets, but if he's as smart as we think he is,
I would think you could probably kids are the most are usually the most pliable. So you could and remember if you actually got the time to know Falco, you could know that he actually hates this war and thinks there's a better way.
True. That's a really that's a
Reiner
point.
sure knows that. We said how could Hanji miss the fact there's people in the room and Minapel
because
says,
she's Hanji?
No, she has a big blind spot.
Well played.
Done.
Well played.
Love how we're all just casually laughing at someone with a missing eye.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry,
she's
we're
Hanji's
monsters.
son, bro.
She plays it well. She wears it really well.
So then, who is it? Jean, who says, Yelena, people died because of you, right? Zeke had to cover up. Is Levi who said it?
It was Levi.
Oh, sorry. Levi says, Yelena, people died because of you, right? Like you didn't do your job. Now,
the John Cart Titans weren't supposed to get out.
They weren't supposed to get out. And remember, we were talking mad trash about this. We're like, you
like,
just dropped them in a hole and walked away?
Didn't leave any guards, didn't shoot them unconscious. Like, come on.
No smoke
their
bombs.
limbs are broken, but they're Titan shifters. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. At least, I don't know, play some really loud music that's like mentally, play some freaking Miley Cyrus over there and just torture him for a little bit. But I think
she does apologize. I don't think she's like secretly this doesn't look like she's secretly helping the enemy to me. No. This looks more like because she's very straight. She's like, you're right. This was my fault. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
but
I did
fall
bit.
into the pit.
Yeah.
But what she didn't anticipate though is Pieck being so clever.
Yes.
Pieck recognized her, went and told the Panzer crew. Without that Panzer crew, it would have happened. They would have been stuck in there.
I would have gone off without a hitch, which makes me. So the next thing they say is the Beast had to chuck more rocks than planned, right, in order to sell this whole thing. Which again, big question mark. Why did Zeke? If you're gonna go out and join the enemy, why is it so important that they don't know that you're dead, or why that they? Or so Zeke doing his little ploy like he did, he made it look like he died, and the explosive was there to make it look like Zeke was actually dead.
Yeah, they wanted everyone to think he was dead.
Correct. Okay, so he wants everyone in Marley. So he wants his departing to do whatever he's going to do with Paradis to be a secret, and for everybody in Marley to believe that he's dead. Why? exactly. If you're gonna go, why does it have to be a secret? Why can't it just be like, I'm joining these, join with me? You know,
Right.
you think there'd be other ways to do it.
Well, his family. Remember, his family's still there. People he cares about.
And I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure we'll uncover it. I'm just saying it's not obvious why.
Manager Paul said that the hole that the cart and the jaw get dropped into in the manga has food and water in it. So like they were trying to like just keep him down there for a while. Yeah, it's very nice accommodating thing to people who are trying to kill you. But also shut the freaking door. Like,
if there's anything,
burn the house down. I don't know. Anyway, so
yeah, she didn't even bother to like shut the trap. She just left it open.
So Zeke had to throw more rocks to cover up, right? And he says, that was some clever improvisation, you clown.
Yeah, for a clown like you or whatever.
And then Zeke sitting there all cut up.
Gives him a hairball.
Dude. No, he says, this is the best possible response. He's like, don't give me that glare. I'm going to piss my pants. As if he's like, oh, I'm so scared of you, Levi. Like,
yeah, he's cut up with no arms. I was like, hey, bro, you were a full Titan and Levi jacked you up.
Still jacked you up. But I'm saying, like, this is Zeke for you. He's so, like, he's that, like, he'll spit back at you no matter what.
Yeah.
He's a weird guy.
Yeah. I don't like the fact that he smokes.
What?
Just don't like it.
What?
Kids don't smoke.
What? I actually thought it was kind of bamf. I was like, we need more cartoons with people smoking.
Yeah, at least,
kidding.
But at least like I don't know, get a cigar or something like that, right? So then he says, "Yeah, don't look at me like that, Levi. I'll piss my pants." And he says, "Good acting on trying to kill me." And Levi says to him, "Oh, don't worry about me. I always save the best bite for last." Right? Oof. Like he still wants to kill Zeke. He's still salty about Erwin, and I'm like, let's go. I feel you, man. I'm not gonna let this guy off the hook just because he's like helped us out a little bit. Like. I hope so. I hope he's on our side. But
I really want to savor the taste.
I don't trust him, man.
Jeez. So you have to wonder, this does bring up the question, and we were wondering this last time too. I was like, in order for Zeke to have turned in any way, let alone he's literally voluntarily on the airship with these guys, the story the twists and turns are not over. It's just obvious to me as I'll get out. It's not. The twists and turns are still coming. There may be yet another one with Zeke. There may be more to come. What I'm trying to say here is that they have got a lot of splaining to do to tell us why the guy who killed all the scouts, the guy who did so much destruction in Paradis, who orchestrated who fought so valiantly for Marley, literally just a few, like the episode 1 is the Beast Titan turning a bunch of Eldians into doing the Titan bomb thing and destroying all the ships of the Mideast forces. Like he's as solidly in the pocket of Marley as could be, with the exception of like maybe that one scene, the privacy scene, or like the two scenes, the privacy thing with Falco with Colt and Magath, and then the in this room scene, the espionage one where the Marlians are listening.
There's something going on.
Well, and I thought that the something going on was that he was essentially forming a third faction, which was he wants the Founding Titan for himself. That may still be the case. He may still be just trying to get it for himself.
I agree in the comments with like Zeke's on Team Zeke. I still think Zeke's on Team Zeke, and
I can see that
he switched sides only because it's more convenient for him right now.
Yeah, and I can see that being the case. But at
well,
any
he's
rate,
done that before.
Yeah, true.
But he does say, all of the Eldian and Marleyan blood, it's all worth it essentially, because here now we have the royal blood and we have the Founding Titan power.
Yeah, Eren is actually the one who pipes up here and says, we've killed their we've
killed the Marleyan brass.
Killed the Marleyan brass. We took down their Titans. We destroyed their ships,
their fleet,
and their port. That's definitely going to buy us time, and that's when Hanji says, "Yeah, time to
until the whole world
joins and
strikes against them.
He strikes against
because
unified attack against Paradise."
Willie Tiber was somewhat correct in what he's saying. If they attack us now in our own homeland in front of all of these innocent people, it'll look really bad, and the whole world can join together and attack them.
A lot of 4D chess moves going on in this season. Yeah. A ton of like moves and counter moves.
Yeah. So Hanji then turns on Eren, who we see is tied up. And she says, every time you're caught by the enemy, we sacrifice lives to get you back, no matter how many it takes.
Yeah. And
knowing that, you still made yourself a hostage. Just like you hoped, we had no choice to come and get you. You put your trust in us, but we lost our trust in you. Sorry, this is where Zeke says,
the
Eldians' lives for freedom will be paid, because now we have the royal and the founder. And so the hope for Eldia's freedom and Eldia's future What? Is there LD anymore?
I think that this is the Team Zeke thing perhaps coming out. So Zeke has two potential things here. He's either totally self-interested, like he just wants to be the man in charge, or, as I've said this before, and I have said this before at the beginning of this season especially, that it sure seems like the interest of the Eldians inside the internment zone is nearly identical to the interest of a lot of the Eldians on Paradis, which is we don't want to be treated like garbage anymore. We want to be free. Right? Mm-hmm. They actually want the same things, because you have to think the Eldians inside of Marley in the internment zones are essentially still they're in walls. They're inside walls. They're still inside walls. They're still oppressed. They're still hated. And I've been saying this whole time. I'm like, how come these people can't join forces more?
Yeah.
How come? In my mind, I'm like, wouldn't the easiest route to be to win this war be to send in a bunch of spies like they did, but to go recruit specifically Eldians from the internment zone and orchestrate an uprising within Marley and say, listen, we have the Titan powers and we're sick of this and we're joining with Paradis and so on and so forth. Obviously, there's more to it than that, but like they have the same interests.
Is there a peaceful future for the Eldians?
Yeah.
Can you retake a place called Eldia? Or does it not exist anymore? Can you only go back to Paradis Island and try to live in peace there?
And make that Eldia if there is such a thing. And then the real question is, okay, if their interest in freeing the Eldians is the same, and this is very similar to like real world like wars kind of previously, it's like, all right, we all agree that we allied with the Russians in World War II, right? 1945, we are literally still fighting with
Stalin.
Joseph Stalin, on the side of Joseph Stalin, because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Like, because we all agreed that the Germans needed to be stopped, but that does not make the Soviets good intentioned nation by any stretch of the imagination. So I feel like there might be some of that going on where it's like, all right, we have an interest in setting Eldia free and Eldians being free, but how does that look after the fact? Well, in the mind of a Flock character, it's the Eldian Empire, right?
Yeah.
In the mind of perhaps a Jean character, it's like a world where there's peace between Eldia and the nations. Like, yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. Anyway.
So then Connie busts in. And he's got a tear rolling. Oh, is there one more thing?
Hadn't Jean come in already and said Sasha's been shot and she probably isn't going to make it? And then Armin and Mikasa both run out of the room.
Yeah, and this is when Connie, and then later Connie comes back in. It's
Connie busts in, single tears rolling down his face, and he says, Sasha is dead. And
Sasha,
man, the music is killer right now. The emotions are running like just crazy all over the place. And Eren looks up and he says, did she have any last words? And in true Connie fashion, he just says, meat. Her last words were meat. Like, this is who she was. Like, she was just like such a fun, caring, beautiful, loved food person. And that's who she was. And Eren, it seems like it messes with him. He starts to laugh. And
he like cracks. He like laughs and then starts gritting his teeth and like shaking.
And he like clenches. Yeah, he clenches his teeth. And this is a lot of emotion. The most emotion we've seen of Eren like this whole episode.
The most human he's been so far.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I think it might
slightly
be good.
Creepy also.
Could it crack the armor of the Titans inside of him, or is it?
Okay, so this is the end of the episode right here. So can we go into our predictions section?
Okay.
Can we just call it?
Before we do that,
okay.
I want to take a minute to thank everybody who's streaming with us live on Sunday nights.
Twitch.tv/beyondthebasement.
Appreciate you guys also subscribing to our YouTube channel, youtube.com. Just search Beyond the Basement Podcast.
Yep.
And
our reactions are over there.
Yeah, our reactions and our whole podcast videos are up on there. Please
all episodes,
subscribe.
Other special content.
Drop us a like. If you're listening, please go to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. That helps us spread the show. All those things are free for you to do and would greatly appreciate some of your favorite squad members. But also, something you could do if you'd like to go above and beyond with your support is you could purchase some super dope shirts or mugs.
No, but not kidding. Especially if you're just an audio listener, which we really massively appreciate you guys and reviewing the show. But you should at least go check it out. The links obviously are in the description. Teespring. We got mugs and we got shirts up there, and like they actually look pretty dope. I'm not kidding. I was quite happy with how the shirts in particular turned out. They're soft. They're actually comfy. I don't remember what the brand is on these.
They look super dope.
I'm
And
pretty sure they're Hanes.
you will support your fellow scouts. Plus, you'll be able to recognize scouts in the street when you see them with a super dope Beyond the Basement shirt or mug. So please check that out. We appreciate all the support, you guys. Happy we're building community. Thank you for being positive in the comments and on YouTube. And now we're going into our predictions.
So we've had this as a special request, and we haven't done this in the season up to this point. We kind of are saving our predictions for the last part, so we don't over or accidentally spoil anything for anybody who doesn't want to. So if you want to join in, you don't have to shut it off. But if you don't want to have any inclination as to what happens next, this is where you turn it off, because we're gonna go pretty deep, pretty hard, I think, on the predictions part.
Okay, so Reiner prediction, or did you want to go right into yours?
Wait, what were we just talking about?
We were talking about the last moments of the episode and how
Eren
has emotion, and then Jean says, "This is all your fault for dragging the scouts into it. It's your fault Sasha died."
And Eren grits his teeth.
And Eren almost seems to agree with him.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do the Reiner thing first. I got to take a break from that. It's just too emotional.
It's too heavy.
Yeah.
It's too heavy, chat. We need it. So, oh, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah. Reiner and Falco. We know Falco saw when he got his head hit. He saw the paths. He saw all the connections, right?
That's how I know he's important. There's
Pretty
no doubt.
sure he's
we
gonna.
We know
the season
he's important.
opens with him doing that.
Yes.
It's the very first thing.
And I think there's something to that.
Just like Eren.
It's not just, I don't think it's just all Eldians are connected somehow. I think that there might be a foresight, just like Eren had that foresight laying in the field. By the way, somebody mentioned that one of the things that Eren sees in season 1 in his dream was the train and the toys from Willie Tiber's house.
I went and rewatched it. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to go look again. I actually just watched that recently and was looking at over the vision. Okay, but you're right. That may be in there.
Pretty good. So Reiner wants Falco to inherit his power.
Mm-hmm.
Falco had those future memories. We think maybe it's because he's going to inherit a Titan power. We thought, but so far we've only seen one person with kind of that foreknowledge ability, the Owl and Eren, who both possess the Attack Titan.
Yeah.
So we think hypothetically, is it just the Attack Titan, or is it all Titan shifters, or is it all Eldians?
Yeah. So this is a good one to get into. So what's not clear to me is like how this future memory kind of prophecy element works, because the Owl has that sort of future memory of two specific people, of Mikasa and Armin, and he's like, "Oh, you have to do it for Mikasa and Armin." He's saying that to Grisha at the time. And then fast forward to Eren, when he has his kind of future memories thing, he doesn't have the Titan power yet. This is that's the very first thing we see. This is before his dad is giving him his power and so on. Then the next time we see it happening, like you just said, is with Falco, and he's having these weird kind of either future and or past memories, and it's almost as if like this is the kind of my question is the Attack Titan almost like a Destiny Titan? Like it's like it knows who it wants to go to next, or so, you know what I mean? Is there something to that? I'm not totally sure, but I think it is obvious that Falco will end up with some A-Titan power.
Yes,
at some point.
We thought he was going to get Reiner's, because Reiner's kind of grooming him for it. He's saying, "Don't let Gabi have it. You need to have it," right?
He may still. I don't know.
He may still, but guess what? He's on an airship going to Paradise. He ain't around that Titan power.
Be near that.
So the only Titan power he could hypothetically get in the near future, at least, is Annie or Zeke. Because we know Zeke, Rachel said this earlier, Zeke is at the end of his time frame. I don't think he's ready to give it up just
he's
yet.
Like got a year left or something.
Something like that. So could Falco be the unintended recipient of the Beast Titan power? Or is he going to come back? Is he going to receive, is he going to come all the way back to Marley? Is he going to somehow meet up with Reiner? Is he going to receive it? And is he going to accomplish the thing that Reiner has been wanting this whole time, right? Reiner wanted to save the world. Well, not just save it, to save the world. He wanted to save the world. He thought he could do so by breaking down the walls and killing a bunch of people. He realizes throughout all of this season, his kind of arc is like going in with no emotion and being really broken, and slowly realizing the humanity of the people within the walls.
Yeah.
And changing his heart and not wanting just to kill everybody. And in the end, he just wants to protect those who are important to him. And I think he does want to bring peace to the world. He wants to save the world.
Yeah.
And so
could
Falco be the fulfillment of Reiner's hopes and dreams one generation later?
Well, so yes. Also, could he be the fulfillment of what Eren's hopes and dreams were? So this is my weird prediction. I don't think it's that weird, but
you think Falco gets Eren's powers?
No, I think
Okay.
Falco is the actual ends up Falco and or Gabi or both
Become the hope.
become the hope and become the heroes of the show.
I agree.
I say that because it seems obvious. As much as I didn't want Eren to turn, I thought he was in a good place at the end of season 3, and now he's definitely gone into a bad place in the 4 years since. And in this last battle, I think that our predictions about Eren becoming kind of this ultimate villain and are probably more or less correct. That he ends up kind of becoming this like rogue, and they have to kind of wrestle this founding Titan power from him, and that ultimately Falco becomes the one with the pure-hearted one who wants freedom for Eldia, right? He's the one with the clear eyes and the vision for it, and he has kind of the best parts of Reiner and the best parts of Eren all in this one little hopeful like character. He was the opener of the season. Perhaps Falco is actually the one who kind of saves the day ultimately. However that ends up being, and if that ends up being having to kill Eren, which wouldn't surprise me, like I said, it could also be Gabi, actually. I think could be like they have to be the ones to like...
Yeah. So far I would say there's 3 characters who kind of see almost the full picture. Eren, he sees what life's like for him back in Paradis and inside the walls. Now he sees life and he says, oh, I've shared a bed with you guys. I've slept under the same roof as you guys. We're the same. And then he has a very interesting take on what he has to do, the prices he has to pay, right? Reiner has the same perspective. He sees the full picture. He's grown up on Marley, been fed this propaganda. Then he goes into Paradis Island and experiences, these guys are the same as me. Still feels like he has to accomplish his mission, and now he comes full circle and he's not sure how to move forward. Thirdly, the third person who sees the full picture is Falco. Falco is able to stand 1 foot in both places, know that he was raised in Marley, and know that he's part Eldian, and he sees the humanity of both sides. And I think Falco is the one who's going to be able to somehow speak to the future, to both sides, and say, hey, we need to bring peace.
Yeah.
And maybe he does get a power, maybe he does end up extinguishing all the devilish powers, or maybe he ends up, I don't know, just giving his life to bring peace. I think Gabi could be a large part of that too. Moving on to our Gabby prediction.
Okay, Gabby prediction. Can I say this one? Because I'm like,
yes, this
has occurred to me so quickly while we're watching. So I'm not sure I'll put this in the reaction video because there's not enough context and people will see me say this and be like, you're such an idiot. But when I was watching the episode, Gabby shot Sasha. And I was like, I'll never forgive you. Like, I literally stood up and was so mad.
He was mad.
I can't believe you. And then, like, 5 minutes later, I was like, wait a second. I think I see where her character arc might be going. And I actually kind of like this. All right, so Gabi has been brainwashed, and she only sees her side of things, and she's very, like, pig-headed and stuff. But we do find out in this episode that she does want... we've actually seen this. She said this before. She wants to prove there's, quote, such a thing as good Eldians. She actually tries so hard because she wants to be a good Eldian. She wants the world to know that they're good Eldians. She wants people to be free. She actually wants the same thing as Falco. They just see it differently.
She's about to get her eyes open, though.
Yes. And so my prediction is that because she's like, oh, they're all just devils. She said this so many times in this season. They're just devils. She just said it to Falco. She's going to show up in Paradise and go, oh, there's families here. There are people farming. There are people with lives. There are men and women, children, and they are like they've been oppressed. She's going to see the walls. She's never seen walls like that. She's going to see the walls and go, wow, there were prisoners and to these pure titans, and we've been doing this to them. And she's going to realize, no, wait, Falco was right. Eren was right. Everyone was right. We actually are the same. They are not just an island full of devils. And what's going to turn her is she's going to realize it's going to come up at some point. She's going to look back and go, oh, Sasha, who spared me. She shot those 2 guards because this was as an act of war, but she saw me as a child and spared me. That's not a devil. Mm-hmm. That's not a horrible person. That's not an island full of devils. Mm-hmm. That's somebody who...
The 2 people who could have killed me, I killed both of them.
Yes, and Lobov is the exact same thing. He saw her and saw a child. She's going to remember those 2 things and go, wait a second. Maybe I've been on the wrong side of this thing the whole time. And I think for Falco, he's almost already there. He kind of already acknowledges that. And so... now we've got these 2. They're going to be on Paradise. They've got Zeke there. They've got this. They're going to be exposed to so much stuff. And I think this opens up her as a character to take a really hard turn and kind of a repentive turn and end up being a hero and fighting on behalf of all Eldians, including Paradise.
Yeah, I think there's definitely hope. I think the hope lies within Falco and within Gabi.
Sure.
I don't know what role they play. I don't know if they end up eating other people, or they end up getting Titan powers,
that's the weird part,
or they just end up being able to be ambassadors for both and saying, hey, there's a way for us to come together and live in harmony. I think, personally, going forward, the only way is for all of them to get rid of their Titan powers, and there's only one way to do that, round them all up. It seems like maybe Eren has to collect them all. He has to become the devil.
Gotta catch 'em
Maybe that's what
all.
Eren feels like he has to do is get all those powers together, and then
You think? Okay, here's another random prediction. This one's a shot in the
Sacrifice
dark.
himself.
Is that Eren does obtain more of the powers, and that somewhere along the way, Falco or somebody figures out that actually is the solution, is to give him all the powers and then kill him, or you know what I mean? Like they're gonna find a way to to get rid of the Titan powers altogether.
Yeah.
And that maybe in that process, or like while that's occurring, again, Falco, Gabi, somebody has an opportunity to inherit a Titan, and they actually use it and intentionally give it to
True
Eren,
hero.
or something like that. Now, having said that, I just realized a major flaw in that idea. There's still such a thing as a serum that turns Eldians into pure Titans.
Hypothetically, but that serum we think comes from Titan spinal fluid, and if you kill all the Titans, then there's no more Titan spinal fluid.
You would have to destroy all of the serum and all the Titans.
You know what I would hope for though is that if it is
spinal fluid, maybe probably okay.
If it is a collect all the Titans in one person and you have to kill him, I would actually hope for an ultimate redemption for Eren. That even if he becomes this like villain, and they have to kind of unite against him and to destroy the Titan powers, that
he chooses to willingly sacrifice himself.
It'd be cool if Eren resurfaces out of all the Titans. You actually see the Eren that we know and love, the one who fought for freedom, says, "I'm going to kill all the Titans." And if he's the one who rises up and he actually does kill the Titans, that would be amazing.
Dang, he becomes the hero one last moment to like kill himself.
Yeah. And the Mikasa weeps.
Do you want to go into
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's probably so that very final scene of the credits where you see that weird crystalline structure thing.
Monster.
And it zooms in on what looks like the attack Titan.
Yep.
Obviously, he looks different. His jaw is different. But if he were to, I don't know, get the jaw Titan power, then his jaw might look different.
Right.
So if he does acquire some more of the Titan powers, eventually that would explain that. I think that whatever Annie did when she started to crystallize and she started to fuse with him way back when that happened. Remember, he was touching her when she started to crystallize.
And he freaked out.
So I think that in that image, you see a very large, colossal, Titan-looking head. You see a kind of a strange cart-like looking face in there. I think that the other Titans are going to willingly lay down and become fused. And Eren's going to try to fight his way out of it, which is why out of all of the images in there, he's the only one that looks like he's trying to get out.
And all of them are united.
They're going to crystallize, and that's how the Titan powers are going to be snuffed out.
And it's going to be snuffed out for 2,000 years?
Perhaps.
And then we say 2,000 years later it's going to break through?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, Steven, I think you just nailed it. Well, Steven and the 80s kid, you both just said kind of the same thing. Eren being an Anakin Skywalker-like character, he does become the villain, and at the very, very end, he also becomes the hero.
He redeems himself.
I think I think no matter how this goes down, it's going to be tragic.
I don't see a way of Eren living, but
no,
my hope is still
up there. But I know, like, Armin is going to die too, and Armin's probably going to willingly die.
I'm not ready for it, man. I'm not ready for it.
I don't think so, because I think Armin is the writer of all the things that we are witnessing. I still think that's the case. I might be wrong.
I think he's going to write it all down and then
die. Okay. But tell me I'm wrong, but the first episode is called To You in 2,000 Years, as if it's like some kind of letter. And I think that what we're watching, like the whole like show, is Armin recounting what happened as if he's kind of recording the history so that people can know the truth, right? Because he's really into that. He's into this he's an Erwin's father. You know, he carries that same spirit of like people deserve to know all of history and all the knowledge and all the events. And so he's recording all of them faithfully. And then he passes that on and stores it away in some way that, you know, if these powers ever erupt again or if this war ever comes again, I want people to know exactly what happened in the past and how to win.
Yeah. So you think, okay, is Eren being 100% corrupted by the Titan power, by the founding Titan powers? Has it begun?
The writer.
Oh, could be. Yeah.
Oh.
Or Zeke or Gabi or
I can't watch Armin die again. I agree, brother.
Same.
I agree. Okay.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I actually cried on that episode.
I just want. Here's what I want to see. I want to see all the Titan, like the devil removed, exorcised. I want to see Armin. I want to see Mikasa. I want to see Eren on a beach, just enjoying. I want to see them traveling around, right? I want to see them seeing the desert, seeing the ocean, seeing all the things.
I think they will have seen all those things as they've been on their way to war.
But they're like, Eren's not Eren anymore, man.
A peaceful world where they're sipping wine and everything is good.
I just want to point this out too. At the end of season 3, Eren was already different. When he stood on the wall at the ocean, he had longer hair and he was all weird and stoic.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, he's going to turn dark. That was the first time that I was worried that Eren was going to change.
No, the first time you said that, the first time any of us said it
was season 1.
Was season 1 where he's going to eat and he's like, I'm going to kill all the world.
Yes,
like,
but I mean, that was when I was like, I think that we're right. That was when I was actually sure that that's probably where this was going.
You know what? That's a good point. I actually forgot about that. That when they finally reached the ocean in season 3, you're right.
Something was different in his eyes. He, like the tone of his voice, he looked like he'd given up.
Yeah. He has that outlook in his eyes.
Part of his humanity. He had given up part of his humanity and started to become a monster.
Yeah. I think up to that point, like I said, I really liked where Eren was at. So next episode looks like a backfiller one. We're getting a lot of backstory.
Looks like, some recap. I'm excited about some of that. Fill in the pieces.
All right. Well, any other final theories?
I'm going to real quick throw this out there.
Hit us.
Okay. I'm gonna throw up a name. You guys in the chat. In the chat also. Tell me 1 to 10, 1 meaning really not likely, 10 meaning extremely likely to die in the rest of the season. Okay?
I don't want to do it.
1 to 10. Really likely being 10.
10?
2? You think he's gonna die?
I think he's gonna die. I think everybody's gonna die.
I think I'm gonna say 9 for Armin. I'm like almost positive he's gonna die.
I'll upgrade to 3.
Okay. All right. All right. What do you guys think about Armin? You're 7, okay?
-7 or just
-7? 7. Okay. Right. Yeah, pretty high up. All right. Mikasa.
I would say like 3.
Yeah, I put
you
her
think
2.
Mikasa lives?
2 or
Possibly,
3.
Although I don't know.
I would say that I think she lives, except for like Eren is her everything, and so if he dies, I think she's gonna go with him.
Oh,
so I would say like 7 for Mikasa.
Okay. All right, you got me convinced. All right, I could go with that.
34. Armin 1000. You think okay for sure?
No,
okay.
-1000.
All right, Mikasa's an 8. Yeah, I think so too. Okay.
Hanji
10. She's
10.
totally gonna die.
I love you.
No. I don't think Hanji's going to die. There's no reason for her to die. She's not a main part of the character. I think Hanji is going to live. I'm going to say 1. Hanji's going to live.
I think Levi's going to live and everyone else is going to die.
You think Levi's going to live? I want Levi to live, but I don't think he's going to do
either. I think Levi dies in the whole thing.
He might not. He might not.
I think Levi
it's just like he suffered so much that like Erwin, him dying would be like he deserves to rest. And I think that because he's such a monster, he's not going to get to rest.
Levi have a kid first and let him like look his son in the eye and tell him like he's gonna name him Erwin and he's gonna like tell him good things about Erwin.
Okay, as great as that sounds.
By the way, I have a crazy weird prediction. It's probably not gonna come true. But speaking of kids, I was just thinking like Zeke has royal blood and Historia has royal blood. What if they have a kid? Because like there's no other royals with the two of them.
Honestly, I'm liking the little blondie.
I mean, that'd
connection.
be super weird.
I thought
but
Historia plus Armin would have been a great.
Yeah, that would be cute too.
That's my actual. If I'm going to go with who dies, who doesn't, I think Armin lives and Armin, marries into royalty, and he writes
to
the
kill
diaries
Zeke. Levi has to kill Zeke before the end of the story.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Zeke, John. Zeke's almost for sure.
What about?
Well, yeah, Zeke's got a time clock. Like he's a ticking time bomb.
Tell me, Connie doesn't die.
5.
I'm saying 3.
I'm like 5 with him. I want Connie to live, but 5. I don't know. If he does live, he's gonna be jaded and not pure anymore.
No, man. Connie's gonna go back to the farm. He's gonna raise horses. It's
like the endless optimist.
I just want to believe.
Pete actually wants this to be a Disney movie. He wants this to be a covert.
Rip that pen out of Isayama's hand and start writing happiness into the story, please.
He wants this to be like in Monty Python's, and then suddenly the writer had a heart attack. And
okay. Hard 6, 2, 6. Okay, there's some. Yeah, Connie and his Titan mom. Yeah, there's some people out there who think that Connie's gonna survive.
I'm not a Connie fan.
I'm on the fence with him. Like I said, 5.
All right. If you guys have any deep predictions, email us at beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know. We love the interaction. We're getting some really good emails from some people. It's been an amazing time, so we appreciate connecting with people over the world, bringing the squad together. Remember to keep it positive. Appreciate you guys. And anything else?
I think that's it. Go check us out on YouTube and leave us a 5-star review. We love you.
Yes.
All right, guys. We will see you next week.
Catch you next time.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks again for watching and listening to our show, Beyond the Basement Podcast. If y'all are enjoying it, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or wherever else you listen to our show. Check out the description below for links to our awesome Attack on Titan merchandise. And join us live on Sunday nights on Facebook for all of Season 4. And some of our best content is on YouTube, including me, so go ahead and check that out. And lastly, if you guys have any questions or just want to chat with us, please email us at beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys in the next video.